another thing that's happening in the country I want you all to respond to, and that is that the First Amendment is under attack. We've seen this a lot over the last couple of years, and oftentimes when people hear the First Amendment, they think about free speech. Well, if you read the First Amendment, and it includes 4 things. It starts with freedom of religion. Did you know that the Bill of Rights starts with what? The freedom of religion, your faith. No one's going to be telling you what you believe and how you should practice your faith. That should never, ever happen in America. And then if you have a faith, you need to be able to have the freedom to express that faith. Go to a communist country. You can believe whatever you want. You just can't tell anybody about it, right? That's the way it's always been. And so you got freedom of religion, you got freedom of speech, you got freedom to assemble, you got freedom to petition the government. But you know what? If you're a despot, that is a danger. And I want you 3 to respond to, well, he's been an official in many capacities here in the United States in various roles. Well, here he is.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people go, and people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence.
Wow, that First Amendment's really a problem. Ken, you spent 30 years and you took an oath to, protect the Constitution. Your daughter served in the military. What would you say to John Kerry?
Well, if you've been what I'd like to say, but I can't. We're witnessing and if you watch the World Economic Forum at the beginning of the year, they usually focus on climate change and all the other garbage that they do. But what was the main thing they focused on? Misinformation, disinformation. And if you've been watching the news lately, you are being bombarded with that, and that's what you're seeing here. They're going to label anything that's true misinformation or disinformation. We call it malinformation. If we respond back with the information that's true, they say, no, that's disinformation. It's malinformation. It's true information, but it doesn't agree with their narrative. So they call it disinformation. And if you're watching what's going on in Europe, they're going to people's homes for posting things that are true, but it doesn't agree with their narrative, so they take them out of their homes and they arrest them. Yeah. That's what they're talking about. That's what's coming to America. It's happening all over the world right now. So the misinformation, disinformation campaign is in full swing. We're in the election season. We're seeing that full swing right now. That's all you're going to hear from now until we're raptured. That's misinformation. And who do you think they're coming after next? The church. Yeah, the Bible is going to be hate speech. That's disinformation. You can't talk about it. Pastor Mark, you can't say that. It's happening in Canada. You don't have to go very far, folks. It's happening all over the world. Get ready. This is their plan. So if you're thinking about not voting, if for any other reason, whether you like the candidate or not, for any other reason, so that we can continue to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, please, we need to get out and vote.
Yeah.
That Constitution matters.
Yep.
And he was in the military. He took an oath. He served in various roles in government. He took an oath. And then he's saying, our biggest problem to being a good dictator and solving all the problems of the world is the First Amendment. Jan, any thoughts? Josh, any thoughts?
What's fascinating to me is it's proven, we see it on a regular basis. There are over 50 AIs that work to manipulate the algorithm on YouTube. There's also over 5 different programs that have been put out by DARPA to manipulate and manage the narrative on social media. This is happening everywhere. We're all seeing it, and it's all to push a narrative that what we are saying, what the Bible says, what the truth is, that can't be trusted.
Yeah, and all of us on this platform, the 4 of us, have all had things censored.
Yep.
I thought this was America. I thought I had freedom of speech. I thought I had freedom of religion. That I could say this is morally right, this is morally wrong. There's a God in heaven. I have a moral conscience and responsibility and duty before him, and I must obey God before I obey the government. Apparently not.
I was censored on TikTok.
Yep.
We're talking about 15-minute cities. Just a short blurb. They said, no, that's misinformation.
Yeah.
Took it off.
Well, now they say, well, how far will they carry it? Well, I'm telling you, there's some who think this needs to right now have both civil and criminal charges brought against people like Ken for talking about 15-minute cities. And some of them have held high offices. I want you to see, these are the high-level elites who have been in roles of government. You might know this person. Her name's Hillary.
Does Hillary Clinton want to lock you up? The former Secretary of State said in a recent interview that Americans who spread misinformation should face criminal penalties. Let's watch.
And boosting Trump back in 2016. But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Wow, okay, so the First Amendment is a problem, Ken. And now those who use the First Amendment, criminal charges?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're seeing, like I just said, Europe is doing it right now. We were talking to the pastors from Canada. There's certain things you cannot say from the pulpit, or they will come in and arrest you. So we don't have to go very far. You just look at what's happened across the world. We call it the spirit of Antichrist is everywhere. It's covering the entire globe. They're going to use the disinformation, misinformation campaign to lock people up. According to them, they're the ones that get to decide what is misinformation. So that's what we're witnessing, folks. That's where we're at.
Jan, if you could say anything to Hillary, what would you say?
I think, Mark, and we're going to show a couple more clips in context with this, I think these people have been, Romans 1, they've been given over. These people can only think in depraved concepts. I'm not sure I'd say that to Hillary, but it's true.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear these things. They don't want to hear this kind of talk. But how else do you explain the kind of thinking? We got some more here, a couple more really short ones. And when you hear the lunacy, I mean, we can call it leftist lunacy. It is truly leftist lunacy. But it goes deeper than that. It has to go into the spiritual realm. And these people have been given over to this depraved mind. They can only think evil continually. Now, the scary thing is they are running for the highest offices in the land, in the world.